Hi there. My name is Zoe, and you may notice that I'm a little more made up than usual. That's because I'm about to go do a belly dance show. And I thought, what better time than right before a performance than to talk about some essential skills for belly dance performance. Belly dance breakthrough. So, if you've been watching these videos, you probably know that I am a belly dancer and a belly dance teacher. But what you probably don't know is that before I ever stepped foot in a belly dance class, I did a lot of theater. So all throughout my childhood, I was very heavily involved in theater. From about the ages of 8 to 18, I was doing lots of plays, musicals. I was even in a few operas. I went to conservatory, did a lot of acting classes, so I gained a huge amount of performance experience. And in this video, I am going to pass on some of those lessons that I learned from all that performing that have been super helpful to me as a dancer. And I hope that they will be helpful for you as well. So I think that this is very important because as dancers, we tend to focus a lot on our technique, which of course is extremely important. Technique is the foundation of everything. I have tons and tons of videos talking about technique and how to improve it. It's extremely important, but it is not the only element of dancing, especially dance performing. And in fact, you can have fantastic technique, but if you don't know how to give a good performance, if your performance skills are only kind of so-so, the performance is going to fall flat. And on the other hand, you can have only kind of mediocre technique or okay technique, but you can give a fantastic performance. Because we need to remember that most of your audience won't really be able to distinguish between, say, like very advanced technique and maybe kind of just okay technique. But what an audience does remember is how a performance makes them feel. I mean, that is our job when we go out there as dancers. We are there not to show off our technique. We are there to give an amazing performance, and we want to make everyone feel something, and we want to bring energy, and we want to bring that performance magic. It's super important to keep that in mind. So that is the why of this video. Now let's get into the what. What are the skills that will bring your performance to that level that really gets the audience super excited and that makes you feel like you had a wonderful performance when you're done, because that's also important. So the first lesson from the stage is the show must go on. This is such a common mantra among theater people. Everyone knows kind of once the show is started, nothing is going to get in the way. We're going to do everything we can. Whatever happens, the show needs to continue. We are there to give the audience a fantastic show. Now, of course, there are some exceptions to this, especially when, as a dancer, you are the only one performing. I mean, if you are having like a medical emergency or there's something like that, obviously, yes, in that case, go to the hospital, or if you're very sick, okay, there's nothing you can do. But short of these extreme emergency situations, everything that you can do to ensure that the show continues, you need to do. So this is a little example. Recently, I gave a performance for a birthday party, an 80th birthday party. Great. And it was in a bar. So I show up there, and unfortunately, it turns out this bar is a smoking bar. Not like a hookah bar, but a bar where people are smoking cigarettes. Unfortunately, this is legal somehow where I live. I don't know why, but there are lots of bars like this, and this was one of them. And okay, I get there, think, okay, this is not ideal. Hopefully the part of the bar where I'll be dancing for this party, hopefully there won't be that much smoke. I'll try to deal with it. So I get changed, I deal with my music, everything. I come out and I'm going through my set, and the smoke is awful. I mean, people are puffing away like right next to me. I'm doing this super active dance set, all these turns and all these moves and shimmies. And of course, because it's so active, I'm having to breathe in a lot and like gulping in the cigarette smoke, which I'm super sensitive to cigarette smoke, even on a daily basis, just being outside and someone smoking near me, I get really, really bothered by it. So this was awful. But, I'm already there. I'm in the middle of my set. It's this 80th birthday party. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to smile. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to dance the best I can, give these people the show that they paid for, and get through with it. And I did it. They loved it. They were super happy, got lots of tips, so at least that was good, and got out of there as soon as I could once the set was finished. If that place ever calls me again, I'm definitely never going back now that I know. But the show went on. And of course, you have to judge based on your situation. If you're, very asthmatic or something where this could really be a dangerous situation for you, then in that case, you would need to stop it. So you have to judge on an individual basis. But in general, as performers, sometimes we do have to do things that are not ideal for us or our health or these things. And you have to figure out where that boundary is. But as much as you can, the show must go on. And this also applies to a lot of much kind of smaller examples. So like if you trip and you fall, or your veil gets caught on something, you're dancing with the sword falls off your head, all of these things, we just pick it up and continue. Or costume mishaps. So like say the back of your bra becomes unhooked. This happened to me in my earlier dancing days. One time I was dancing and come out there and pop, hear the back of that bra unhook. Luckily, I had a friend in the audience it was like a restaurant. So I run over to her. I'm like, Giovanna, please hook me back up. So I was able to deal with it and continue. Whatever you can, you need to keep that show going. And that goes right into the second lesson, which is improvise, adapt, overcome. So we need to be very flexible to be able to deal with all sorts of things that are going to happen, right? Because you can and you should plan and prepare to have the best performance you can. But I can tell you that no matter how much you plan and how prepared you are, if you perform more than once, something will go wrong or will not go the way you wanted it to. The best laid plans go awry. So we need to be flexible and to be able to think on our feet and to be able to continue and deal with whatever mishaps occur in the moment. This also in theater applies often when, say, somebody will forget their line, right? That's very common, and you need to be able to improvise. Someone forgets their line, you keep on going, you make something up. So as dancers, if you're doing a choreography, you may have the choreography memorized when you practice at home, but then you get out there and you're on a stage or you're in a restaurant or some other setting and the lights are all different and there's an audience there and you've got adrenaline and there's all these things going on. And probably you will forget at least a bit of that choreography. But if you do practice your improvisation skills, no problem. You can just improvise and get right back into the song. So working on improvisation is great, but also improvising solutions to problems. Like if you trip and you fall, maybe you go into a nice floor work section if it goes with the music. So some of this will come with experience. The more you perform, you'll figure out ways to keep on going, but just know in advance that probably something, at least one thing, often more than one thing, will go wrong, and be mentally prepared to deal with it. Okay, the third lesson is clothes make the man or woman or child or whoever. Clothes make the dancer. So when I was doing theater, we would rehearse, we'd have a new play, we'd rehearse for a few weeks. Everyone's, learning the blocking where you go during the different scenes and all of this. And then about a week before the show was actually going to open and be performed in front of an audience, that's when we start doing the dress rehearsals. And everyone gets their costume. And all of a sudden, once everyone's in their costume, it's a completely different feeling. And you are the same for the audience with your costume. You need to have something that will grab their attention, that will really show them who you are, make your presence announced. I had a teacher once tell me that the first minute or two of your dancing, when you come out there, a dancer comes out there, nobody's looking at what steps you're doing and things like that. Everyone's just looking at your costume. So the costume is so important to set the mood. The costume, makeup, hair, everything like that. And it's not just important for the audience to let them know you're this amazing belly dancer. It's also important for you. Speaking for myself, once I put on that costume, when I have my makeup, my fake lashes on and all that, I start to feel like more of a belly dancer. I feel more beautiful, more powerful, more elegant. So don't skimp on your costume and your makeup. Really go for quality, go for things that make you look and feel good. Get across the kind of show that you want to get across. It's so important. Again, you can have amazing technique. If you have an awful costume, people aren't even going to want to look at you, probably. Of course, you can have an amazing costume, and if you have horrible technique, people will look at you for a few minutes and then probably they won't anymore. So you do need to have all the other things, but the costume is important. Do not skimp on that. And going into that, the way that the costume and the makeup make you feel goes into lesson number 4, which is stay in character. So I think some of us don't even think about this. We don't even think that when we're dancing, we're in a character, but we are. Anytime you're performing, you are a character. Even anytime you get up and you're speaking, like in a public event, you're already kind of a character. I mean, obviously, in theater, it's very clear. You are an actor. You are playing a role. And you will often go in depth and try to understand everything about your character and their background and all of these things. But as dancers, we are also playing a role. And we need to be, 1, aware of that, and 2, stay in that character. I mean, it's a bit hard to explain, but like when I dance, I'm still myself, but it's like this enhanced belly dance version of myself who's so much more emotional and more expressive and all these things. And you need to get into that character. Take the time before your entrance to get into that character, whatever it is you need to do. And once you're on stage, you stay in that character. You do not break character. I mean, can you imagine an actor, like you're seeing a play and then in the middle, maybe they forget their line and they're like, oh, whoops, I just forgot my line. No, obviously, a professional actor would never do that, right? And yes, maybe in film or something you can go back and edit, but we are doing live performance, and that is the beauty of live performance, is that things can go wrong, accidents can happen, and whatever it is, we deal with it, as I said, and we stay in character. So like when I was dancing in that bar and there was all that smoke, I was still smiling. I was showing them I was having a great time, even if this little part of me inside was not having a great time. But the character was a dancer who was happy to be there. And part of me, of course, was very happy to be there. So lesson number 5 is to know your lines, or in our case, steps, forward and backwards. Literally. This applies mostly to choreographies that we have memorized, especially if you're doing a choreography in a group where you can't just kind of go off and improvise on your own as you could solo. Know the choreography so well that you can do it forwards, you can do it backwards, you can do it sped up, slowed down, all sorts of things. We would do this sometimes in theater with our plays. We would do a run-through where we would do the entire play backwards, starting from the last line and going to the first line. Or we would do speed run-throughs where we would do it in, say, half the time that it would normally take, so twice as fast, and then even faster until we got to like a 1-minute version. And these are great ways to ensure that something is really solidified in your memory. Because again, once you get out there and it's a totally different location from what you're used to, it's a different setting, and again, you've got that performance adrenaline, it's very easy to forget things. So the more we can kind of drill those things in different ways ahead of time, the less likely we are to forget. So if you can go through your routine forwards and backwards, try to do it faster or slower. Mental rehearsal is also really great for solidifying things in your head, and then you don't have to tire yourself out actually doing it so much. So yeah, know your steps, forwards and backwards. And the last lesson from the theater is that yesterday's show is not today's show. So when you are doing a play, you might be doing it every single night, or like we would have sometimes 4 shows in one weekend. So like Friday show, Saturday 2 shows, Sunday matinee. And it can be easy to kind of get caught up in this trap of thinking like, oh, we had a great show opening night, so we can just kind of relax. We know what we're doing. The show today will be fine. Or on the contrary, maybe you had a horrible show the other day and then you're freaking out like, okay, no, this show, it's going to be awful for sure. I don't know what to do. You need to leave that behind. Every single show you do, it's a new opportunity. It's a new audience. They don't know what you did yesterday or last week or last month, probably. Even if they do, it doesn't matter. You are there to give as great a show as you can. It doesn't matter how great of a show you did yesterday or how bad of a show you did yesterday. Today's show is its own thing. Leave the past behind. Don't worry about it. Focus on the show you are doing in that moment because, again, as performers, it is our job, literally our job, to give the audience the best possible performance that we can. We are there to let them experience something out of the ordinary, something that they don't necessarily experience every day, that even we might not experience every day. We are bringing, I really think of it as magic into their lives and into our lives. I mean, in theater, we talk about this, the magic of theater, and it's true. When there is a performance, there should be that magic, that feeling that something special is going on. And we are the ones who are responsible for bringing that something special to all of these people, which I think is such a wonderful, wonderful job to have. So now I'm about to go and hopefully bring some magic to some people as well. But let's just recap those performance lessons. The first lesson, the show must go on, no matter what. Second lesson, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Third lesson, the clothes make the dancer. Fourth lesson, stay in character. Fifth lesson, know your steps forwards and backwards. And sixth lesson, yesterday's show is not today's show. So I hope that these performance skills are helpful for you. If they are, please do give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to see more videos on this topic, just let me know. I will be very, very happy to hear from you as always. Happy practicing and happy performing.